Hello everyone and welcome to another Darachat. My name is Daramouthe, or Dara for short, because some people have trouble with the name, even though I see pronounce it right. Anyway, Dara is fine too. I know it's a weird name too, but then again, we all have weird words in the English language. Anyway, I am here with the awesome and yet Bulkmeister himself, the AirConda, which sort of reminds me of that movie. Was it? I think it's called AirConda, isn't it? Or Air Condor? Sorry.
You're talking about Con Air.
Con Air, that's right, Con Air with Nicolas Cage and a few others. It sort of reminded me of that. But I never watched it. Con Air, that's right. He got it. Yes, I got it. Okay, well, but yeah, no, but thank you for coming on. Yeah, oh man, I can't remember from who it was from, but yeah, it was funny. It's like I remember you saying he was following you, and then you said, "Man, I can't believe I wasn't following you back." I was like, "What?"
It's no worries. It's no worries. A lot of people get confused because my profile and my gaming channel both have the same name.
Yeah.
So you end up following one, and then when I'm live gaming, which is where I normally stream, everybody's like, "I thought I was following you. You probably are. You're just not following the channel."
Listen, here's what you have to do. Look, you have to go down that way, turn left at the light, and then go down past Grandma's house. You'll see her, lovely lady. And you just keep going down till you see an open field. If there's a school there, you're at the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. You've gone too far.
Snakes on a plane. Look, snakes on a plane. Look, Samuel L. Jackson had enough. Samuel had enough of those snakes on a plane. He said, "There's too many dang snakes on a plane." He was done. I would have been out that. I would have jumped out the window. Honestly, I've opened that. I would just open it, let everything just get torn out, because I ain't dealing with that. If you're gonna have a bunch of snakes like that, no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna jump out. I'm gonna be with everyone else. There's no parachute. Where's the body of water? Well, here we go.
Hope for the best. Pencil dive in.
Jeez Louise. But no, but thank you for coming on. I know I'm not the most prettiest or fairest of them all, but I do try. Really, I do try. I take some health lessons from people, and it tries to work. But it is what it is. But no, I appreciate it because it's not about whether you're a creator or not. It's about whether you take the opportunity to just chat about whatever. Because I know for some people that's a little what's the word? A little scary or a little I don't know what this is sort of thing. I've had people say that too. So I'm like, it's easy. Let me explain it to you like you're a 5-year-old. You come on, you chat. That's it. That's all you do. You don't have to
That
worry about anything else.
works for me. It's perfectly fine.
You could be you had 2 different names and it confuses crap out of people. Hey, you know what? That's okay. That's okay because I think the duck one is all right. No, it's goose. I think you have like duck, duck, goose or something like that. And I'm just like, that's perfect. Who doesn't like playing duck, duck, goose? Oh my
Used
goodness.
to play it all the time as a kid.
That's true until someone tried to cheat and then you had to push him out of the circle.
Yeah, you're done. You're out.
You're,
Can't play anymore.
the tag is over with, kids. It's time to play. But yeah, you've been doing this thing for quite some time. But you're not just on Rumble too. But you've been on Rumble for quite some time. But how long exactly have you been?
So I've been streaming since the Xbox One first came out and Twitch was added to Xbox One. So that's about 10 plus years since I've been
Yeah.
streaming. And then Rumble's been since March of last year. I've been on Rumble longer than that, but I wasn't streaming on Rumble until March of last year.
Okay.
And YouTube is fairly new. Within the last year and a half is when I started YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, because I've been trying to be very advocating of being on multiple platforms because we see what YouTube has done in the past, and we've also seen what Twitch is recently doing with some of its creators. So,
Yep.
the hour of being on one platform is at hand, and you are kind of going to have to. Oh, not you specifically.
Well,
but
I know what you mean.
yeah, it's just going to be, it's just a disaster waiting to happen, and you kind of get.
That's a lie, Dad. That's a lie.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hey, you know what? You should give him money.
He said he would. It's just the way Rumble's payment system's set up. It's hard for him to do it. So
Right. Well, all I know is that you insert your card and that's it. But beyond that point, I don't really know. Because all I've done is insert my like debit card or whatever, and it seems to work fine. But for someone it has an issue with. But that's something I can't actually resolve, unfortunately. Sorry, guys. I'm not that magic wizard. I really
not
do.
this time.
I say the magic word "fu," and apparently no one likes to work it. So here's what it is. But yeah, I'm just tired of seeing other content creators not taking up the opportunity with what they have out there, and especially with all the different streaming video things. It kind of, if you're not taking up the opportunity at hand, you're kind of slapping yourself in the face and saying it's a great day, isn't it? Not really. You're slapping me in the face.
Well, my main thing is like, so I obviously Rumble's my main platform, and my normal schedule is Rumble Monday through Friday, and then YouTube and the rest are Mondays and Wednesdays. But this month, I'm curious because there's people talk about they're doing better on YouTube now than they were before, and so I'm doing a month long on streaming on all the platforms, or well, I say all, so that's YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and X. X not really taking any. I'm taking X with a grain of salt because it's really hard to track growth on X because people can follow you just because of a tweet you made, or they're following you because they found your stream. So X is just there in the background just to see how it is to stream on X.
Yeah. That and all the bots.
Yes.
All the bots. I remember the days of yore when the OF girls would just pop in and say, "Would you like to buy from me?" And say, "I don't know who you are."
Yeah.
Because that was just it. I mean, Rumble's not any different. There are some bots things there. I had to deal with one earlier, but at the end of the day, there's not a it doesn't seem like anyone's found a real way of getting around the bot situation, and it seems like as more time goes on, we're gonna get farther from finding that solution because again, it sort of just goes with people can make bots now to connect or sell or whatever.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane technology. So
It's like an arms race. It's just Rumble can come up with an anti-bot solution, and then the bots will figure a way around it, and then it's just gonna be a vicious cycle. It's a matter is like if the platform's going to be willing to put up the fight, or they're going to just be like Kick, who seems to just roll over and accept the bots. Because I've never had so many bot chatters in my life than I do on Kick.
Really?
And yeah, and Blip, to answer your question real quick, it's a Waterloo orange vanilla water seltzer. Trying to cut back on soda. Try not to drink as much soda, so we found a substitute.
Oh yeah, I know. Like I was saying earlier to you backstage, I know the feeling because Coke used to be a thing until I couldn't drink it anymore. Drinking even a little Coke is it just it's like too much caffeine. It just gets me too jittery. So I've eventually had to switch. I eventually had to switch over to Pepsi, but I'm trying to cut back that as well. But like I was showing you earlier, I'm doing like probiotic sodas. But again, trying to do healthy is not cheap. It never really is.
Not.
Yeah, it's a funny thing when you try to do better for your health and then you realize all this stuff is so expensive. I'm already poor anyway, and with how things are being are now, it's not. You're supposed to drink Coca-Cola, cola.
Not that Coke.
Not that Coke. No, dear Lord, please, not that. next thing is like, so you were talking about the Peruvian powder, weren't you? No.
The marching power.
Peruvian powder, the sugar burger, the there's so many names at this point. At this point, it's detriment to just try to name it all. To be honest.
Blip, I can't say that I'm not a drunk. I do have when I stream with my friends on Friday, I do have a few drinks. I try not to get trashed, but I do have a few drinks. It's a work night. I'm not drinking tonight.
So. Yeah. And you said, and one of your things on your channel was like a Irish grenade or something like that. What is that?
Irish hand grenade. That's when you take a stout beer, put it inside a regular sized drinking glass, and then you take 2 shot glasses. One has Irish whiskey in it, and one has Irish cream in it. And you prop them on the glass so they're holding each other up, and then you pull the Irish whiskey and let the cream fall into the beer. Take the shot, and then you're supposed to drink the beer before the cream curdles and explodes on your desk. So,
it's sort of like the reaction that you get from vinegar. Was it baking soda and vinegar?
Yeah, basically. So, the taste fine but if you're a person that struggles with texture, obviously the curdling is going to mess with you when you take the drink. So.
Yeah, I don't drink alcohol, but yeah, that sounds like it'd be bad. And Dashboard is like, Rumble could move to a complete paywall and require physical proof of life to create an account. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I don't know how that would work for everyone else, but they certainly need to get more than just the 2 payment options that they have, because I know a lot of people don't like PayPal, which is a funny thing because that's something that Elon started. So
it is. But then he sold it for SpaceX, basically.
Yeah. It's the irony of, I don't like this thing, but I like the guy who made the thing. So
yeah.
let me just get back to you on that.
Rumble is working with like Dan Bongino to get Stripe on board for them to be able to, or not Stripe, local economy, or what is Dan? I think
it's the Public Square. Is that what you're talking about?
Square? No, Public Square is the marketplace kind of deal.
Okay.
And not local economy. Dan Bongino has the something economy, parallel economy, and I think Stripe is part of that parallel economy, and that's what they're hoping to use as a payment process.
Yeah.
Processor in the future.
Yeah, because I know that was mentioned at least once in the past about Stripe, but everything is a work in progress and deals are made we don't know about and all this stuff. But it's not about Elon, it's about their tax concerns and the fines they put on accounts for having political other than them. I can understand that, but at the end of the day, you're celebrating a man who's creating a thing and all this stuff. So it's very based on perspective of how you see things. It's just it's just one of those things. But yeah, I can understand that. But then again, that's why you have things like other platforms for that to be, to try out and see if you can do stuff. Because at the end of the day, um, there are more platforms than Rumble, and a content creator cannot just be on just one platform to sustain themselves. Because I know some content creators have posted their thing out there like, oh, this is how much money I made or whatever. But the irony of that is that that's how much they made. It does not always equate to how much you'll make. Because, yeah, especially
No,
with.
that's why when I've been posting my tracker, I was like, I'm just posting this for you guys to look at. You guys, they'll look at the data yourself and decide for yourself if it's worth your time. I mean, since day one, even Chris, the CEO of Rumble, has advocated for multi-streaming. He's encouraged people to multi-stream. But I've never. I know there's those Rumble diehards that throw fits when they find out somebody's multi-streaming and they'll stop following him or call him out and stuff like that. I mainly multi-stream to pull people to Rumble to help Rumble grow, because I'm not in it for the money. I'm not trying to make a career out of this.
Right.
I already have a career. So it's not about the money to me, but I know, and it's nothing against people that are doing it for the money. By all means, do it for the money. If this is your passion and you want to make a living off of it, go chase your passion and put in the work. But for me personally, I have an opportunity that I don't have to worry about the income flowing in from Rumble. But obviously, I'm not going to lie about. I'm not going to be sitting there saying I'm going to be the richest man in the world because of Rumble. I'm going to tell you guys the truth of what's going on with my platform. So
no, and that's understandable too, because again, if it's to say this, if you're gonna monetize, right? If you're gonna be on a platform and it's monetized day one and all this stuff,
But Chad gets VIP access. He doesn't.
I don't want to know what's in that access. But I do think that if you're gonna have your platform monetized so people creators come on you, then you gotta at least live up to your to the expectation of what they expect. I mean, not to that remark, because again, you do have YouTube and stuff, so there is a counterbalance to that, albeit a lot more. But at the end of the day, it's about why you even create content, right? Because if people just create it for money, I feel like they fall flat in their face, because all they're doing is chasing what the algorithm will push out, and YouTube is well known for that regard of people pushing out stuff. I mean, nowadays, people will do like this weird thing where they'll have their mouth open on their thumbnail, or they'll have like their face covered on the thumbnail, and I'm just like, what?
It's like the same people that make posts on X right now, and everything is breaking. Every post starts with breaking, and it's usually something stupid. It's either a lie or something stupid. So it's people just working the algorithm, and like anybody that chase the money on streaming, those are the people you see. Like, I have to take a step back from streaming. I'm burnt out. I can't do this anymore. Yeah, it's because it becomes a job. And I don't want this to become a job for me. Do I like making money off Rumble? Do I like making money out of streaming? Obviously, of course I do. Right. But if I treat this like a second job, my main job already exhausts me to no end. I don't need to come home and feel like I'm about to work again.
Right.
So it's like a hobby. It's something fun for me. The reason why I like Rumble so much is because I can be myself. I don't have to worry about copyright strikes. I don't have to worry about being demonetized. I don't have to worry about being banned or being tempted to be canceled. So that's why I'm on Rumble specifically myself. So
and that's why I like the multi-platforming aspect of this as well, is because if one platform tries to take you down for whatever silly reason, you can say, okay, all right, well, I'm on all these other platforms, so you're not really doing any much damage to me. But I think a lot of people will either they can't do it because of tech limitations on their end, or it's the fear of trying to add more to what they're already doing. Because it's the weirdest thing. A lot of people try to push all these different sort of social platforms, right? If someone's on Instagram, X, Facebook, all this stuff, they're doing a ton of different things. And just like, whoa, hold up, take a breath. Do what you can handle, and don't try to go beyond that until you can handle it. If you can handle it, fine. But if you can't handle it, don't, because that's where you said you get that burnout. And for me, I only stream to both Rumble and YouTube. I only do use Rumble Studios for that because it's free to use. But at the end of the day, I'm not pushing myself to. I mean, one day add another platform, but I'm not going to push myself to do it because I already have a full-time job anyway. So this is just like, again, it's just a hobby to do. I get to meet new people like yourself, and it's just a crazy amount of a great time. And I wouldn't want to trade that for making this a full time, because when you make content creation a full time, you better have more. You better
Yep.
have more than that. Otherwise, you are a slave to the machine, a slave to the algorithm, as it were. And hey, Dex and I just don't want to play that game, because then you get into that position where you don't want to do it anymore, and it sucks.
Yeah, and you get burned out, and you no longer making content that you like. You end up doing stuff just to chase, like you said, the algorithm, and then
Mm,
it's not exciting. It's boring. It's frustrating. It's stressful because
yep.
then, like for example, I'll use gaming, and I'm not. This is not just a Rumble thing. This is like almost any streaming platform. Everybody's like, if you want to make it big, why don't you play more Call of Duty? Well, I don't like Call of Duty. I
Yeah.
get bored and angry with Call of Duty, so I'm not going to play Call of Duty. Well, you're not going to grow as a creator. I'm not okay. Fine. I guess I'm not going to grow as a creator. If I can't make my way doing what I love, then that's so be it. But I'm not going to put myself in a position I don't like just
Yeah.
because I want people to pay attention to me.
Yeah, I think that's the for me personally is the best way to go about it, because what is content creation in the first place, right? In the early days, right? In the very
Mhm.
early days of when this thing, oh hey Dash, for the money. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Well, and we'll just add that for later, but thank you. And Dash has a good point. Is when you where you put your content should depend on your goals. If your goals include putting your content on a platform that hates free speech, then do it. Get that money, boo boo. Yeah,
Yeah.
but my thing is that why what is content creation and why are you creating it, right? Because back in the day there was no money involved
Yeah.
with content creation. YouTube wasn't even at any point of monetization. It was just, hey, I like doing this thing, I'm going to share it with everyone. That was the preview of what YouTube was, and then it got sold to Google. Google
Mhm.
added monetization down the road and all sorts of stuff, and then every other platform after that, right? You remember when Twitter X added monetization to it, you saw all these engagement posts and bait
Mhm.
posts out of it wasn't content creation. It was just slop, and not everything you see is going to be not slop, but it was just, I want the money. I'm going to put this thing that I know is going to get views, and boom,
Mhm.
thanks.
I'm going to say the most outlandish thing possible just to piss people off because I know
Go
that's
for
what's
it.
going to make them. No, I'm just saying like that's what the engagement
Oh,
post people find the most outlandish thing that they know is going to make people angry because
mm,
when are you going to get people to comment most? They're going to comment the most when it makes them angry.
yeah,
Um,
next negative news, like
yeah,
you see, what was it, that whole thing with that one content creator on Kick who decided to look at their phone while they were driving a
yeah,
super nice car. I'm like, you got to be the dumbest sob to ever do that, ever. And you're lucky to be alive. You're lucky your
mhm,
friend who was recording you was alive. Otherwise you'd probably be in a court suit by
yeah,
now.
for involuntary manslaughter. Yeah,
Ugh, it was just, I saw that, and then the whole thing about all this stuff. It's just, yeah, it gets you. We see what happens when you add monetization to the aspect of creating content. It felt like in the beginning it was just supposed to be a sort of hobby thing where people can get together and just have a good time sharing stuff, right? A video
mhm,
platform, just sharing. It didn't matter what, well, within reason, of course. It didn't matter truly what it was. It just mattered that, it was within the rules. Hey, Steve, it was within the rules. Oops, it was within the rules of not like showing any like deep violence, whatever. And then, DIY stuff, being able to share knowledge, information, stuff you probably wouldn't know,
mhm.
useless information and useful information, all this stuff. And it's just become this hog slop of just chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar, chasing the dollar. And while I get some of it, I don't get all of it. And I'm just like, I'm just going to be over here.
Yeah, exactly. Like for the longest time on a game, the only two games I would play on stream was War Thunder and Ark, and I met some great friends because of those two games. And that means a lot to me. Like Amasaku, I play War Thunder with him every Tuesday. Gaming Chat's another one I play War Thunder with quite a bit.
Right.
Blues Nut, I wouldn't have met those guys if I did what everybody was telling me to do. Just go play Call of Duty so you can make that money. Well, I made friends, which to me is better than money.
Yeah.
Noobs a lot is another guy that I hang out with a lot, and that was because of Ark. If it wasn't for Ark, I would have never met him. So
Mhm.
that's what I love. And then, like, I wouldn't have met you if it
Mhm.
wasn't for streaming on Rumble in general. So, like, to me, that's what means more to me. If money comes, great, whatever. I feel bad when I get people in chat. They're like, I can't. I want to give you something, but I can't. I was like, no, that's fine. You just hanging out and chat with me is all I want.
Yeah, that's what you. That's
Sorry.
why. No, you're right. That's why I usually, for the most part, if it can't be that, then it's sort of like the engagement factor, right? Like if you can just help with the engagement factor, that's more than enough than what money does. Because if you want to at least be connect with more people, you want to be able to connect more people across where you're streaming to, and all that stuff. And yeah, I would trade you.
I'm worth more than a Ferrari, Chad. I'm worth more than a Ferrari.
Ooh, I would at least gone for like a Lamborghini or something. Now that would have been impressive. But no, I just can't follow those suits in order to get those things because they're again either play to the algorithm or you don't. And for me, getting the ability to talk to almost a little over 100 different people is mind blowing within around a year's time. And while I did get some payment out of it, that wasn't the main goal of why I was doing it in the first place, because I've gotten to talk to people from all over the world. I've gotten to talk to people from Australia, from the UK, a few from Germany. I've gotten to talk to some from Alaska, which is about 4 hours behind my time. So while it's 7 now, it'd be 3 there, and all that stuff. So there's a lot of other things I think people kind of forgo in order to get what is deemed, whatever for whatever they're trying to create, right? If they're making a business out of it, they're gonna hit this hard and do other stuff. But I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, I'll take a earth roamer. I don't know what an earth roamer is. I don't know. Is that like a big machine?
Earth.
Is it? I would think an earth roamer almost just reminds me of like a big military tank or something, but I don't know what an earth roamer is. Maybe it's like
if this is what he's talking about, it's a pretty impressive looking rig. It's an RV. It's a camper on the back of a pickup truck, like a Ford pickup truck.
Yeah, he's saying it's a big off-road RV. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would take one of those over a Ferrari in a heartbeat.
Well, there was funny things. I've seen people who drive these different types of vehicles, right? I've seen people. There was a gentleman who took an old school bus and he kind of added some pieces to it, and he made it. I don't know what his business was because he had like tools and stuff, but he elongated this bus and made some stuff into it. It's like people, making the tiny homes thing, right? They take a trailer and they just make it to whatever they want, and all that. But yeah, it's just interesting for that kind of stuff. But I do know you've talked about, or at least you've mentioned your thing about military. But am I allowed to ask what branch you were from?
Yeah, I don't mind. The only time I won't talk about my military service is if we're talking politics, just because it's I'm in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
This is the branch I've joined in.
Okay.
I joined during my senior year of high school. I was in the delayed entry program and left for basic training in October 11th of 2005. So that's when so in 2 days I'll be at my 19 year mark. So I'm still active serving. I'm not retired or guard reserve. So
okay. I didn't know because I've known some people who some have been in national. I knew one at least went to National Guard. I knew a few that went to just basic military, or Army. Sorry, Army. I've worked with a gentleman who was once in the Marines, former, of course, and so many others. I've had on Patty's Parlor Games, former military. I've had on. There was another one as well. It wasn't you. It was Recon Rat. Recon Rat is another one. Yeah. So there's been a lot of people I've met, and of course Dash. There's a lot of people I've met through this who have had Tomby, who I've had on. He's former RAN, which is a Royal Army Navy and the UK side. So there's that as well.
And thank you for that, Dash. Sorry, it took me a little bit to find the message to see, but thank you for that, Dash. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. But yeah, I've met a lot of different military people through this, and usually that's not, of course, not the first thing that comes up, but it is
No.
always interesting to ask about why you got into it, and if you're still in it or not. Obviously, you're still in it, but others that I've had on are not for certain reasons or past the time or whatever. So, but yeah, why did you join up?
Always loved the country.
Mm.
My grandfathers on both sides served. One was during Korea.
Mm.
Another one, I think he was at the tail end of Korea. And my great grandfather and my great great grandfather before him both served. My great great grandfather was an Italian or Sicilian immigrant from
Oh,
Sicily. He came over at the age of 10. And
okay.
then when became old enough, World War One kicked off. So he joined the military to go fight in the war because he
Mm.
loved the United States so much. And then my great grandfather, when he became of age, he joined just before World War II kicked off. And then he went off to World War II and served
Mm.
during Vietnam and Korea. And then he retired after 32 years of service. And
Wow.
just talking to all of them and all the different stories they would tell me. And my dad and my grandfathers brought me up on loving the country and everything it stands for. I mean,
Mm.
obviously, they told me this country's not perfect, but no country is. But we've been given a country that a lot of people would be jealous to be in. So,
Yeah.
and my family gave back a lot, so I wanted to give back. And
Yeah.
I originally wanted to join Army. Actually, the Army recruiters who I talked to first.
Uh-huh.
My dad, I was under the age of 18, so I couldn't enlist without parents' permission.
Right.
So my dad said before he would sign any paperwork giving them permission to recruit me, he
Mm.
wanted me to go talk to the Air Force. And I talked to the Air Force and I got suckered in. And next thing you know, 19 years later, here I am, still in the Air Force.
Yeah.
One more to go. So,
Hey, that's great. I mean, it's understandable. It sort of reminds me of, now fictional character, mind you, but it sort of reminds me of the story of Lieutenant Dan, right? Lieutenant
yeah.
Dan, well, they mostly died in it, but they mostly, family members from his past served in the military, and so it's sort of understandable you have someone who has that sort of long lineage in
Mhm.
any form of military, whether it be Marines, Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, I believe is part of it as well, and some more. And so it kind of understandable, but yeah, it's very interesting in kind of seeing that because, well, like you said, you did it because you love your country and want to do
Mhm.
that, and I can also understand why on when it comes to the political aspect, you want to stay away from it because it isn't about that. It's about you wanting to serve the country and you want to give your best to the country and all that. Because talking about politics in its own right is messy, and
Mhm.
I dislike it to the hilt. But it's also something that would be hard to get away from because we've kind of ingrained ourselves too far into it. It's like
The
trying
whole
to dig yourself like it's like trying to dig yourself out of like the deepest hole we've ever dug, and you're just like, wow, the sun is way up there. God dang.
Mhm. Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, you can ask Gaming Chad. We've had many of political conversations, and if anybody's seen me on X, I run my mouth all the times about politics. It's not that I
Right,
don't want to talk politics. When we enlist in the military, we sign a clause that we can't talk about our
right,
military.
right.
We can't associate the two because then people are mistaking that as the Air Force endorses X candidate or
Yes,
the Air Force, and
yes,
they don't want that association. The Air Force is
yes,
supposed to be apolitical, or the military in
yes.
general. So I can talk about my military service. We can move on to not but if we like later down the road in this podcast we start talking about politics, that's fine as long as I don't say, well, I'm in the Air Force and I believe this. That's
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
becomes an issue. So
Yeah, it's the same thing with when you go to a company, right? In that social media clause they tell you to sign,
yeah.
you can't really you because you don't they don't want you acting on behalf of the company. I understand that completely. I've signed that piece of paper many
Hmm.
a times, so I
Hmm.
understand that. But it's nice when um understandable and having to speak on a very contained matter, I guess, when you have to hold back on how you say stuff, sort of like if it's like deals with NDA stuff or
Hmm.
classified stuff, you have to hold your breath in some things while giving a very generic answer on the matter, and that's very understandable. So I'll try not to bring it too far, but I
Oh,
do.
don't worry. I say the sky's the limit when it comes to ask me questions, and I'll let you know if I can't answer something, and I'll be honest and upfront. So, of course you
Uh-oh.
cannot, Chad. Of course you
Uh-oh.
cannot.
Uh-oh. He's using those rules against you. But
Yeah,
no,
he is.
I always find that fascinating because I wouldn't say that's right. I forgot seals as well. Don't want to forget the seals. But I always find it fascinating because again, everyone has a difference of why they go
Mhm.
into the military, right? You know, you can have people who don't see particularly anything of a future for themselves, or like you, who has a family lineage of it, and you kind of go in because you see the promise of the country, regardless of it not being perfect. And I think for many that they can see it's not perfect, but we kind of get stuck in ourselves
Yeah.
because of the political aspect of it, and it's very daunting when you're trying to separate fact from fiction, right? Because that's what
Mhm.
we live under a news media that's not really much of a truth anymore. We live under social media on the technological scale, which you have to be very cautious because you don't know what the truth is, right? You know,
Mhm.
nowadays you could make stuff up and just edit to a point, and people put it up there and accept that as a truth to some degree, which is kind of sad in itself, but that is the truth of it. And unfortunately, it doesn't play well with us trying to go after what we consider truth to be, which I'm not going to say I know any better, but we try.
I mean, there's a difference between those who seek the truth or those who just accept what's given to them. Like, yeah, we may not be always right about what we believe or what we're talking about, but we always try to find the correct answer. And we're
Yes.
a smart person would back down and be like, "All right, I'm wrong on this. I apologize," and correct course and continue to learn. Whereas the people that are stuck in their ways because they, for whatever reason, whether they hate a certain candidate or
Mhm.
they hate a particular party or they just hate America as a whole, those people don't want to know the truth because they want to live in the ignorance and they want things to go their way only, nobody else's way. They don't care about anybody else but themselves. So they
Right.
refuse to accept the truth when it's right in front of them. So,
I think it's also a bias too, because again, you have people who grow up in environments, right? Because kids, parents, that sort of thing. You have people who grow up in environments where it fosters that kind of ideal instead of thinking beyond the scope of. Because I think that's also another problem too, is we're not.
mhm.
I once heard someone say, we're teaching. We're teaching kids in school of an economy that's long gone, and so we're not really going beyond that. Or not all of it. There are some
Mhm.
places where you have like charter schools or somewhat, or alternative schools, what have you. But at the end of the day, we are still majorly school-wise teaching children of an economy that's long gone. And then of course you see all this stuff in the news about this school in California and this school over there.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a mess, and honestly, I can agree that that's when the time of being a parent means you will have to make a tough decision of whether you want your kid to be there and go to some place where it's better for them or it works better for you, or homeschool.
Yeah.
And not many people feel they can do that, but I think you kind of have to take a step back and remember when school used to be back in the pioneer days, it was small, right? You'd
Mhm.
have a old schoolhouse that was either a church or whatever. Taking something like, say, the Little House on Prairie, right? If you ever
Yep.
watched the Little House on Prairie, you'd know they use their church as a schoolhouse. And so you have places that had duality or multiple uses, which was, we don't really have much anymore, unfortunately.
No, we don't.
Um, but yeah, but nowadays it's sort of it's a very cluster mess of just ideology, uh, uh, bad teaching, if you want to call it that, and just a wide array of what should be or shouldn't be, sort of thing. School. I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to speak on the matter. I was a kid. All right, I was a
Mhm.
kid,
Yeah.
homeschooled, but on my aspect from that end, I would rather see schools be a neutral ground for learning rather than. I mean, yes, you can say if the schools in the country, national, all that stuff,
Yeah.
but it still should be based upon the principles of which the the rules allow. Saying I don't have to worship the flag in essence, rather than just everyone stand, take the pledge of allegiance or whatever, because that freedom allows that aspect rather than just total of it. if that makes sense.
School shouldn't, basically, like, if I'm understanding you correctly, school should not be a curriculum to indoctrinate. It's supposed to be a curriculum to learn what the
Yes.
truth
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn the basics like
Yeah.
math, science,
Mhm,
English, like the
mhm,
basic stuff. And then you can, if you want to get into philosophy or indoctrination, you can. So if you're religious, you go to your church or you go to your mosque.
mhm,
You do that with your family. Or if you want to get into philosophy, you go to university and
mhm.
pick up a philosophy degree. Now, I personally advise against the philosophy degree unless you're going to become a psychiatrist. Well, I don't even know what you need for a psychiatrist, but I would not personally recommend spending hundreds of $1,000s to get a philosophy degree. I would
Yeah.
recommend just try do
Yeah.
your. There's research papers out there you could read. There's books you could read. Just go out and read because it's gonna be a lot cheap. At the end of the day, it's gonna be a lot cheaper. You're gonna get more value out of it than
Mhm.
spending 100,000 because you're gonna a lot of these universities, these colleges these days, they're too ingrained in their way of thinking, and this
Yeah.
you must think this way. There's too many stories of kids getting flunked out because they had wrong think according to the professor, or
Yeah.
their grades are lower. I remember I went to do a world history class when I first joined, and my professor had us write a paper. Do you agree or disagree with the American Revolutionary War? Do you think the Americans should have fought against the British, or do you think they should have just paid their taxes and ignored it?
Mm.
Well, I was the only student in that class that and agreed that the Revolutionary War was a good thing. All the other students wrote because he also provided his example of
Oh.
what he thought, and what
Mhm,
he thought is we were wrong to fight the British. So I gave my reasons why I thought they were right, and everybody else followed in lockstep with what he was saying.
mm.
I didn't get flunked out, but I had the lowest grade in the class, which part of it could be poor writing skills, but I wouldn't be surprised if the fact I rebuffed
Go
against
ahead.
him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, and I can understand if he's trying to get me to think critically, like, hey, argue on the other side for once. But like my American pride kicked in at one point, and two, like
Mhm.
when I saw everybody else was agreeing with the professors, like I am not going to do that just so I can get a good grade. I'm
Yeah.
going to do what I think and just tell them I think the Americans were in the right for fighting
Mhm.
against the British crown. And
Yeah. It's it because oh, what was I gonna say? Because it does feel like it's not that at that capability of doing so, or it feels like we don't see enough of the alternative type of schooling, right? Like there are some places
mm,
that do that add like robotics to their stuff, or this or that or whatever, and you get to see these different variances. And of course, the physical aspect, right? The physical ED and all that, or no, not physical PE. Sorry,
yeah,
physical PE.
physical education, physical fitness.
Physically, I was thinking the wrong thing. But anyway, um, but helicopter rides that for those that hate the Constitution. Now, come on, now that's too much. That's too much for them. That's too much of a nicety. But I know what. But I did. It's all what Dashboard said about. I'd argue that we are where we are now because we've moved to neutral prison, sort of, but we're not there because a
I
neutral. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree with what Dashboard is saying, but I think it's more not so much because we moved to a neutral position. I think it's because we got too wrapped up worried about everybody else's free feelings that
Mm,
we're afraid to push back
mhm.
because we want to be neutral. When more people need to push back when they know somebody's being wrong, and that's nobody wants to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, the schools can be indoctrinating to a point, but parents, when again, I'm not a parent, so I'm
Mm,
sure I'm going to get parents out there to jump down my throat. But I see throughout my entire life, my career, I see moms and dads too worry about being best friends with their children. They're not trying
yeah.
to be parents; they're trying to be best friends.
Yeah.
So, and then also now that you got this new thing going on, where if you're not woke, parents are afraid that they're using their kids as props. Like, look
Mhm,
how woke I am. Woke out because they just want to be accepted. They're not doing it because they believe in it. They're
mhm.
doing it because they want to be accepted. And so I get what Dash is trying to say about being too neutral because everybody's just trying to get along and be happy and play nice. But so yeah, pushback should happen, but that's the issue with our public school system. There is no pushback. So maybe the schools need to pull back a little bit, or the other side needs to push forward more to counter the indoctrination that's happening on the left. And I think that's one of the issues, in my opinion. I don't think schools necessarily need to be neutral as long as we know we got a parental structure in the country where the parents are actually going to instill in their kids the actual morals and values they believe in. Because I think you find a lot of these parents that talk about how they have trans kids. They're not doing it because they believe their kids is trans or they think they're doing the right thing. They're doing it because they're more worried about them being liked than doing the right thing for the kid. And I think that's what's wrapping causing the issue we have in our country as well.
Right. To give credence what you said earlier about not being a parent and then talking on parenting. So there was a lady streamer was on, and we had come to a point where we were talking about parenting. And of course, I did say, I'm not a parent, but I'm just speaking on my perspective of what I see. And some lady in the chat or whatever who was a parent had got offended by it. Well, the point of us saying we're not parents, but we're going to speak on an outsider's perspective, because we could still have an opinion, but I'm not going to go to you and tell you how you should be a parent. I'm just saying from an outsider's perspective, I'm seeing this thing where it doesn't make any sense. And like you were saying, how that's the thing that gets me too, right? You have people who post their kids on Instagram. You have people who post their kids on Facebook and all this other stuff. So what is that in, to share memories, or is that to get some sort of social credence? Because for me, it feels a bit off. Like if you're going to have pictures of your great kids, grandkids, cousins, whatever, why not keep it to just your family or
close friends? Yeah.
Why does it have to be on a social scale? Because every time you see this, you see people take babies as their newborns, right? And they put it on social media. You take pictures of maybe what is it? A gender reveal, right? A gender reveal, put it on the internet, all this other stuff. And while there are some that are pretty funny, at the end of the day, though, are parents doing this because because they want memories or whatever, or are they doing this for some sort of social credit thing, like you were stating? Because I think there's a point where you've not to tell parents what to do, but it feels like, why are you doing it? Right? Why are you posting your no one in the world beyond the scope of your family is going to care too much about your child. So why are you posting it to the internet?
Because to a lot of these parents, and I'm not going to say every single parent in the world's like this, but obviously that they are as they say, the vocal minority. So they get the most attention. So it seems like it's predominantly, this is how parents are these days. But the parents that are doing that with their kids, it's like Paris Hilton with her little Chihuahua dog. The Chihuahua was a prop. It wasn't a pet. It was a prop. And that's what these kids are to some of these parents. They're social media props. They're there to gain clout or attention, or like the ones where, it was a while ago. I can't remember what the moms were doing. They were doing something to intentionally make their babies cry. And they were posting their videos on you, and everybody's, that's no big deal. My parents did worse. Yeah, but your parents didn't post it to get likes, comments, and maybe even some ad revenue out of it. So
some are doing it because they're clueless to the conversation happening around the topic, possibly. But that would be like me trying to say I know what AirConda is thinking at this moment. It's very bit mind reading, and I try to stay away from that. But at the end of the day, I do think that is a possibility, along with the other things of you see the Pride Parade stuff, you see all this stuff where kids involved, and at the end of the day, it makes me wonder. Like, this is just a thought I had. It makes me wonder if the parents themselves haven't grown up.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason why you do. Now, I'm not saying all parents are perfect. Don't give me I have parents, I know. But the point of the matter is if you're going to treat your kid as a token, right? Maybe there are some who don't do it intentionally. Maybe it's just, the family, there's some other family friend who does it or whatever. But at the end of the day, why does your child need to be on the internet being shown to the world when the world is not going to care about your kid? They're only going to care about the cuteness or this or that, or like you said, the parent making their baby cry. There's those things that hit human nature, but it does feel like earlier, it does feel like a sort of social credence of just like, here's my kid, smile for me, give me likes and clicks, all the stuff. I don't. After a while, I don't get it. Internet points is -% internet points.
Well, and then it's like I see parents that do this stuff. I was like, you do realize how many creeps are out there who are like, looking at your kids in ways, yeah, okay, so you can say, well, the person's thinking about it, they can't do anything about it. But if that person acted on their thoughts, that's your child not at risk because you decided to prey to them all over the internet. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm my nephews are, and now my niece is all over the internet too. Well, not all over the internet. We use the internet a lot because
Mhm.
I'm in Georgia. My family's up in Maine. I don't get to see
Okay.
my nieces and nephews.
Right.
So the internet,
Right.
that like you said, is different. Close friends and family. But my brother and my sister aren't posting their kids on TikTok or
Mhm.
X or YouTube
Mhm.
or any other platform. They're the most like there's some people that might have heard one of my nephews on stream because my brother will be playing a game with me and he'll just come over the headset, just say hi, Uncle Tony, and
Yeah.
or he'll ask me questions about the game. But you don't see
Yeah.
my nephew. You just hear his voice and he's talking to you, but that's not the purpose of my nephew being there. My
Mhm.
nephew's talking because he wants to talk to his uncle,
Yeah.
not be put on TikTok so my brother can get some clicks.
Yeah, and I think that comes to the point too with those who are parents who are content creators and they involve their kids in some aspect. I'm not going to say they're
Yeah.
heartless or evil people, but it does come in the question of just as an outsider's perspective, right? Just as an outsider's perspective of, okay, so you're doing this sort of family thing. Okay, that's nice and all that stuff, but why are you making content out of it to show
Hmm.
the rest of the world? I mean, yes, you do want there to be family content creation, right? You want to have family stuff. I've run across some of those people. I have a father and daughter duo streaming. They do it together, which
Hmm.
is kind of a spending time while also playing like indie games and whatnot. I've had Chrono on. He's more of a family oriented. Luke's Awakening, who's on the YouTube side, is more family oriented. So there are those who do try to make
Yeah.
content that are, but when you have say like there some on YouTube who have their whole like not a whole family but like father
Yeah.
mother and then the kids, it begs the question: are they doing it because of a negative nefarious reason, or are they doing it because they think,
Yeah.
oh, making this content, sharing the family, showing this family? Because again, we know at to some degree that things not everything gets shown on the camera, right? You see a picture, you think, oh, that family's lovely, they're great, but that's
Yeah.
not the whole view of the family. So there's that aspect too.
Yeah. And like sophomore John's another one. His daughters will pop up on his
Yeah, yeah,
streams every now and then, but he's not using them as so. Yeah, I guess that's a good point to be to clarify. Like I'm talking about like the when I talk about people using the kids as props for social media, these
yeah,
people are like fully on taking advantage. There's a difference in being proud of your family and want your family
yes,
to be a part of your life, and then there's those like, hey, my kid is literally a prop. That's all
mhm,
this kid is. I'm going to put my kid front and center because of the reactions I get online for it. That
yeah,
there's a difference.
yeah,
And the people you listen to, sophomore John, they're the family oriented. Like
yes,
I love my family. I'm happy with my family. I want my family to be part of my life.
yeah,
Uh, like I don't force my wife to be on stream because I know people are more interested in seeing a woman than they are seeing me. So, but if she shows up, I'll, I'll let her say hi or
yeah,
like say, "Hey, everybody, that's my wife." But I'm not forcing her in a low cut
yeah,
shirt on my stream just so I can get some people to watch
yeah,
my streams. So
yeah,
that's the difference. Like
yeah.
my wife is a part of my content, but she's not being used to be a part of.
Yeah, it's more of she wants to be a part of rather than being forced to be a part of. And I think Dashboard has a good example. Cooking with Gruel is a good example of him. And
Yeah,
I think even Gordon Ramsay has done stuff with his family on camera too, but mostly the cooking side as well.
yeah.
So that's an interesting aspect too. It's just finding that line of
Hmm. What's too
what
far?
what's too far and what's the reason of why you're doing it, right? Because once you find out what the reason of why someone is doing this sort of thing, with their family and whatnot, then it becomes a decision. It's and again, it's not telling I'm not here to tell what they should do. I'm not telling
Yeah.
them how they should do it. It's mostly an outsider's perspective of trying to deduce of, okay, so why do you do this thing? Why do you and all this stuff? Because I think a lot of people at times don't give a reason. It's just expected to be there, right? We're
Hmm.
here, we're showing up, we're making the content. That's the reason. Instead of giving their internal reason of, okay, so why are you doing this and stuff? It's not like going to the, it's not like going to the police and you're being grilled like 1,000 questions.
Yeah.
It's just having that conversation of, okay, so why do you do it? Because there are people out there who do use their kids for the clickbaity stuff, like we've discussed, and it's not a pretty thing. It definitely is
Yeah.
not a pretty thing,
No,
especially. Go ahead.
no, and I was just gonna agree with you because like it is, and that's because I don't want to pick on people that do have kids in the content because there
Yeah,
are good-hearted, well-meaning people that do stuff like that. But
yeah.
like you said, once you start crossing that line, is it your family being involved with your life, or your family a tool in your life? And that's probably the simpler way to put it.
Yeah, yeah, it is a simpler way to put it because then it becomes at least easier to digest. Okay, so then we get to understand of the layman's term, right?
Yeah.
Explain it in the layman's term to actually a pretty good one. I'll have to write that one down for later. But all those things, and I forgot to write down dashboard. What was it? Too. But
And
no, yeah.
dashboard. I think I know where Buford is. I've only been in Georgia since 2017. I know that
Mm.
sounds like a long time, but even so, I lived in Maine for 18 years before I left, and I still
Wow.
like people will mention places in Maine I don't remember where I don't know where they are half the time. But I live in Middle Georgia, and I've lived
Okay.
all or been all over North Georgia and a little bit of South Georgia, but not
Mhm.
not like explored all. My wife is born and raised in Georgia.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Were you guys hit by the Hurricane Helena?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know what the weather was like because it happened while I was asleep. It can't couldn't have been too bad because I'm a
Yeah.
very light sleeper and I didn't wake up to any sounds of wind or anything like
Mm.
that. But I did wake up. Oh, I know where Lake Lanier is. Dashboard. I do know where that is. Okay, so I know what you're talking about then. But we did have some down branches all through our yard. Nothing
Mm.
major happened because I
Okay.
secured most of our house. There was a concern the eye was going to go right over us, and it was a cat
Okay.
one. It was a cat one by the time it reached us.
Okay.
But we have nothing. Uh, it did make me go out this last weekend to go clean up some of the trees, so that way I don't have any branches falling on my house or my cars if another one rolls through.
Yeah.
Because Helena started in about the same spot as Milton did, so I was like, well, up until recently, obviously, we
Yeah.
all know where Milton is now. But
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, Milton's going to follow the same path, and we're going to be lucky. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to find out if we're going to be lucky. Let me go and start getting ready, knocking stuff down that could potentially damage my stuff. So,
Yeah. And when I looked at the map for the path of Helena, it looked like it hit like the bow in where Florida is at,
mhm.
right? And then it just kind of went up and kind of went a little left when it hit a spot because it reminds me of when Katrina, right? When
Yeah,
Katrina hit Louisiana and then it just went up because I'm in Indiana. So it went
okay,
up, it went up all that way, but as soon as it gets over mainland, it starts, going down
Do-
to like a
yeah,
tropical storm, which doesn't it's just a lot of water instead of no, it's
wind and yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's just dumping on you.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
And it was
see,
like,
'cause Milton's still sitting right on top of Tampa. It's barely moved since I got off work. So,
yeah,
and
it's
that's
gonna
another
be
thing. When they hit land, they can sometimes get stuck and just sit there because there's nothing moving them through, and they'll just pound wherever they're at. Unfortunately,
yeah, which is a weird thing when you have a hurricane come from the Gulf of Mexico inland and it just loses steam the further it goes
yeah,
in. I don't know how far Katrina went. I do remember that was like 7 days, like a whole week of just rain, 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 rain.
hmm
It was the longest time I've ever seen rain happen. But yeah, how far it goes inland is one thing, and I think Helena did stop over like Kentucky, Tennessee area. So by the time it got up there, it was pretty much being desolate. But yeah, they're gonna
hmm
have a rough time down there. But again, it is a trade-off if you do live in those areas
yeah,
around the Gulf of Mexico. It's not. I mean, I get people surprised and stuff to some degree, but it's not too much of a surprise because again, hurricanes have been a thing for forever. It seems living in those areas, and while it's devastating for the destruction, there's stuff out now that could possibly help in that. There was a I went looking up stuff for the hurricane whatnot because I was talking about that, and there was a gentleman in Texas, I think in like 2016, who did something a little different, right? Because there was a flooding and all this stuff. So what he did was he did this thing called Aquadam. It was a company.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So he bought that, like a thing that went around his house, and I think the water only went up like 2 feet or something like that, but it kept the interior of his area dry. And I'm just like, this is like eight. It's like 8 years now, and I'm just like, why hasn't anyone else grasped onto that? It cost him like $8,300 is what they said, but the amount of money it saved him was, I think, the more important in his home.
Then that's that kind of critical thinking a lot of people fail to have these days. Well, it cost me $8,300 now, but yes, what is it going to save you when you actually implement it and when you need it? And Chad, yeah, Rumble HQ is it's south of Tampa,
Longshore or something like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Longboat Key. That's what Dash just said. And unfortunately, from what I heard, Rick and Chris were telling people that to back stuff on cloud and to those who had stuff on Rumble Cloud to back it up to alternate servers. And there were talks of potentially of Rumble having issues, like in general, when the storm hit.
Dashboard has their Longboat Key. Okay, I said it wrong. Just south of Sarasota, right on the beach. That's I think it's that means it's on the front end rather than the back end, because Florida has the front beach facing towards the Gulf, and then you have the beach facing towards the is it Atlantic or Pacific that's on that side?
So there's the East Coast is Atlantic, the West Coast is the Gulf and all that. So yeah, and I believe they're on the West Coast, so I think they're like the storm is right on them. Because I looked them up. I went to Orlando a couple times. I was like, I'm curious. Maybe I could just
intercoastal. Okay, so you're saying intercoastal? Yeah, I didn't know, but it's always a forgetting thing when you're like, okay, so what is California have Pacific or is it Atlantic? Because like.
No, it's so California's Pacific and the East Coast is Atlantic.
Yeah. And no, I saw that. Hey, Lord of the Rings. No, he's just joking.
Hey, don't worry. So you can ask Chad about my racist moments. So it's fine.
Yeah, and good luck to not only just Rumble but all the people in Florida. Because again, I mean, this isn't an uncommon thing. Hurricanes are not uncommon, just like tornadoes in Tornado Valley are not uncommon. But it's always devastating, just the same. But when I had mentioned the Aqua Dam, I'm just like, there are those things out there where I'll just bring up the where was it? The Texas. Nope. What was it? There we go. Here we go. I'll just bring up what I found yesterday. So let me get here. There we go. Okay. So this is the one. This is 20 June 2016-11.
I remember this one, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see
his house is surrounded by water, but he's fine.
Yeah, it's a water dam, and it's like it's polyurethane or whatever it is that is
polyurethane.
Polyurethane, yeah. It's the warping, but there's supposed to be like an inner for water. And the funny thing is it's sort of like a water barrier, and it did its job. You could see his what is it? You could see his trampoline is right here, and yet he's not getting very much water.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of a thing where I think there's technology out there that if you do have a hurricane, because what was it? It was Fox or somebody that was like, they were saying that the waves could go like as tall as 9 feet. And on the website of Aquadam, they say their things can go up as high as 16 feet. So you really have to wonder, if people are willing to look up the information to kind of help them. Yes, it does cost a lot and some families can't afford it, but just imagine if you had a whole neighborhood who could do that around their house and just this is an idea anyway.
Well, not even just neighborhoods, like if the government was using for infrastructure areas like the power outages and like drinking water facilities or like just anything that can help protect key infrastructure points, so when the storm does pass they are able to recover a lot faster than what it normally would take if they had nothing there.
Exactly. And it's just a thing where we've kind of made enough made some technology that could help with that sort of stuff. But I think it's the information that doesn't get out there much. But anyway, it's the top of the hour. So what I do at the top of the hour when I have a guest on is that I set aside some time for us to promote ourselves.
Okay.
Because you're on here, you're giving me your time, all that stuff, and it's also a counter of it's been an hour, so kind of do that and so forth. But anyway, I did put your links that I could find down below, your Twitter, X, and Rumble. But if you want to promote yourself in how you'd like to, the floor is yours.
Well, I really appreciate it, Dara. I appreciate you having me here. For those who don't know me, I'm not going to get too much of my promotion, but those who don't know me, I have 3 channels. I got a gaming channel. I do my hobby stuff where I take a Jeep off-roading. I'm hoping to do some gun content. Right now, the main focus on the hobby channel is my astrophotography stuff. I'm actually building a mobile observatory so I can go out to some better areas to take pictures of nebulas and galaxies and stuff like that. And then I have my podcast channel, which has no rhyme, reason, or schedule. Basically, if I build up enough topics, then I'll say, hey, I'm about to go live. And that podcast is called Let's Grab a Beer. And what I usually do is I get a 6-pack of beer from a small company that you can't just go out. I don't do the Budweisers. I don't do the Bud Lights. I don't do the Sam Adams or Yinglings. I get beer that is local to an area, and I drink it and give people the review while I talk about topics. I have my 3 categories of topics, which is hypes, gripes, and complaints. Gripes, mids, and hypes. And gripes are just things I'm complaining about, whether it's politics, complaining about life in general, complaining about crap. I can't even think of the word right now.
It's okay.
It's when you talk about just stuff in general, like music, movies, culture. Yeah. And mids is just when I'm not complaining or excited about something. I just talk about something I'm just indifferent about. And then hypes is just something I'm excited about. And then they cover, like I said, it could be anything political, it could be religious, it could be life, it can be culture. It's just whatever pops in my head. And after I'm done recording for about an hour, I invite whoever is in my chat to join in through Rumble Studios. I let them call in, and we just talk for another hour or so about either the topics I covered or whatever the heck they feel like talking about. And then, much like you, I give them opportunity. If they're a creator, I give them opportunity to promote their stuff if they want to. So that's on my AirCondaTv channel, AirCondaTv Hobbies, because I'm very original and creative with my names. Covers the hobby content.
Hey, you know what? I have this Darachat. I also have my other one, which is for just people who've been guests on before, called Dara's Hangout Den.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it. But what's catchy is it's branding and it's catchy. So there you go.
It makes it pretty easy to find it by basically just type in AirConda and throw hobbies or TV, and you're gonna find me. It's to make it simple for myself and for anybody that's trying to find my stuff. The last thing I actually absolutely want to promote is you and your very lovely tweet talking about me coming on tonight. You mentioned I do work with this charity often called stackup.org. And so this is not really me. It's just a charity. I run it every single year. Depending how busy my year is, I will either go heavy into promoting it or go light into promoting it. But regardless, I'm constantly raising money for it. And in short, like Dara said in his posts, that it is a charity organization with the goal the main goal is put an end to veteran suicide. We range from 14 to 22 members a day kill themselves, take their own lives, unfortunately. And they do that they're hoping to put an end to that through geek, nerd, and gaming culture. So if you're big into tabletop games, you're big into video games, you're big into just anime and stuff like that. So they use this money to bring veterans together, let them know, one, they're not alone. They don't have to suffer in silence. They don't need to be afraid to seek help. And 2, to also let them know, like, hey, there's things in life you can enjoy, and there are other people that enjoy those things. Not necessarily distract yourself, but find joy in your life again. Don't focus on the negative. Like you said in your post, they worry about PTSD. That they also traumatic brain injuries. There was a commander on my base. I didn't know him. I found out about him recently. He was an F-22 pilot, or not. he wasn't a pilot. I'm sorry. He suffered a brain injury and combat. And then he got into a car accident years after he got out of combat. He was still a commander. Unfortunately, the accident undid all the treatment he got for his brain injury, and unbeknownst to his family, he started slipping into depression and anxiety and stress, and he ended up taking his own life. So sometimes it's not even the person that's just depressed. Something happened to their head and war, and now they can't cope because they lose the ability to cope. So Stack Up is trying to help with those things and bring awareness to it. And like I said, I raise money for it every year. If I'm not actively promoting it, there's always a bot in my chat popping up with the link. It's always in my description to donate. And I do fun little things like I do with my rants for those who want to donate. Like I'll do squats, push-ups. And Chad likes to make me do squats. That's his favorite thing.
He just want to see that button work.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. It's the butt work.
I have to give you credit though. That was on your about page on your Rumble, and I just took from there what you put for that. So I have to give you credit for the stack.org sort of thing. So that was mostly what you put down. But no, yeah, I did feel that was something to add necessary, because it not only, I mean, yes, there is that with the military as well, but just to do a quick side note, there was once a gentleman I used to work with at Papa John's, and years and years later, not during I'd left long ago, years and years later, he was the general manager there, and a fortunate story came out that he jumped in front of a train and took his own life. So suicide, ending of life, whichever you want to call it, is a terrible thing. But I think it is hard to try to understand where you're not in that mindset. But when you do get in that mindset, you do kind of understand a bit of why someone would do it, because they do just see a darkness at the end of the tunnel, and there's not a lot. But I will tell you this: it's not the end of the road. Dear Lord, if you could only see the options that stand before you now, you would be amazed at how much of the ability you have to do something more. But we can get in that later. But I digress.
Yeah, no worries.
So, but for your stuff, his links are down below. The links at least could find. I didn't know about your other ones, so at least the ones that can find you. At least if you go to his Twitter X, you'll find his other stuff. So make sure you look that up. But anyway, guys, whether you're here on Rumble or whether you're here on YouTube, it doesn't matter. If you wouldn't mind liking, giving a share, leaving a follow, or leaving a comment, anything that helps the engagement is much appreciated. Because again, guys, the engagement helps not only me being seen more by many other people like yourself, but also having people like AirConda on, or having people like UB Legend or whoever. They're not, yes, I do have a bunch of people who are creators on. Yes, I will agree to that. However, I've had some people on who aren't creators. Some of them show their face, some don't. At the end of the day, though, I have a wide range of people who aren't just creators. This is about bringing people on, having conversations, and just going wherever it goes, because I'm telling you what, we're in a place of division within just in our world alone, and we're not getting back to just having a conversation about whatever. So that's what I'm doing with this. Whoever's willing to take up the opportunity to do so, the door's open. And if you'd like to take that up, there is a link down below that'll lead you to where my Twitter X, Discord, email, and then also my YouTube and Rumble. If you'd like to take up that opportunity, you can either comment on YouTube or Rumble, or you can go there and find me at my Twitter X, which I mostly do my communicating through. I have communicating Discord, but it's usually just keeping all my communication in one place, which of course I contacted through AirConda with. So again, any help with the engagement, and of course checking out my link down below from other places is much appreciated. Thank you guys. Where was I at? I've missed a lot of people. Oh, I wanted to go here. While I can't agree to, hold on, it was the one before that. While I can agree to building on stilts, the problem of that is that still they have to be able to handle the big rush of waves, right? Because those can just fold over. I've seen those videos where people have like beachfront property, right? And they have done that, and they just go, because the waves are just so strong, they knock out the poles, and the whole thing is just catastrophic. But it is doable. It's just dependent on how you build it and where you build it, because that's the defining factor. And hey, UB, how are you doing? Looking forward to this weekend. trying to catch up. But yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. He does. He is a very stand-up guy. I mean, he's sitting down, but he does stand up.
Well, I'm chair force after all. We're supposed to sit more than stand. So,
so that what? My goodness, no wonder that's what they call you, the chair
yeah,
force.
chair force. Because the joke of the other branches is we don't do anything but sit in chairs in luxury hotels. So we're like the pampered divas of the military. So that's where the chair force thing comes from.
Yeah, it's a funny thing too because obviously there's been a lot of military shows, right? You know, had JAG, you've had all this stuff. One of my favorite ones, and it was mostly due to my mom, was MASH, and MASH was about the Korean War, but the problem of that is that the Korean War was a lot shorter than the show. So it went on like 8 years longer. So there's that. But I enjoyed. When she showed it to me, MASH, because there's a funniness to it, but there's also a seriousness to it, and obviously, no war is a joke, because obviously, I like this. I like the way Hawkeye said it, but he said it. I can't remember what the episode was, but he said, "War is war and hell is hell. War is war. There are." Hell is where there's no innocent bystanders. People who are supposed to go there, but in war, there are innocent bystanders, and no one, no one deserves to be in that war. But I can't remember what he said exactly, so don't punish me for that. Dashboard said that my friend was Air Force intelligence and said it was a good time. Yeah, you do. There's a content creator I know, Ryan. He works for Geeks and Gamers. Ryan something, but he used to work in the Navy and he used to do nuclear tech. And he would tell stories of certain aspects, but it's always nice to get those sort of thing because it is a difference between military and then civilian, right? Because you do hear those stories of where, it is kind of hard coming back to civilian life because you've been in this sort of fight order mode, right? You do live by a set of rules within the military, regardless of which branch it is. And there's about 7 or 8 branches I think there is of the
military. There's 4 branches. There's the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and then Space Force, which is the one that Trump just made before he left office. Coast Guard can fall under as a branch of the military during times of war if they're called in for that, but they're considered the military is under the Department of Defense, and then there's the Department of Homeland Security, which is what Coast Guard normally falls under, unless they get called out for international reasons. Then they're Department of Defense.
But they're no joke either, because they do a lot of the drug catches and rescuing and all that stuff, especially for ocean wear. My good Lord, it is not an easy time when you have someone who's trying to communicate for help and they're miles out from getting it. And there was a content creator on YouTube called Heavy D Sparks or something like that, and they're just they do stuff with trucks and whatnot, and they got
I know who you talk about.
They actually got to run some testing. So albeit they had to be careful what they shown or said or whatever, because they were in a all that stuff, but they got to do some test runs. They got to ride some helicopters because the creator, I believe, I can't remember his name, he owns a Blackhawk, I think it's the helicopter.
He does.
And it's very interesting that he was able to get one, to be honest. But
that's what a lot of people don't realize. They keep making these stupid. The anti-gunner says you can't own a tank. You can actually own a tank. There's a website or a company in Florida and a company in Texas who will help you buy a tank. Whistling Diesel owns a British tank. So you can buy helicopters, you can buy fighter jets. There's all kinds of other things you can buy. It's just
expensive.
It's expensive, which I mean, that's not anti-constitutional to be expensive, because I mean it takes a lot of money to build those things. Heck, you could buy an aircraft carrier if you really wanted to. You just need the money to do it. So,
all right, chat, we're gonna have to start raising goals for that.
I joked with my wife, I want to buy a decommissioned aircraft carrier and turn it into a cruise ship.
It's got a long enough runway.
It does. And so it'd be perfect. So if somebody gets any medical emergencies while we're out at sea, we could just have, medevacs fly in and take them out, and then you get kind of the military experience with the cruise experience at the same exact time. So,
Jeez. No,
doc,
that I think that's actually interesting idea because you imagine I mean you it's a slow moving ship, so you're not going to get anywhere fast, but I imagine it would be a pit stop for not only for I don't know if you'd be like a refueling center or whatever, but it would be interesting to have something that's sort of like a what Deep Space Nine was basically.
that's a station. Yeah.
A station out there. Ships and come in, refuel, all that stuff, get info, whatever they need, and then just kind of go back out. Not saying that you'd be able to do all the the fueling stuff, but there is
What?
a pit stop because there's no pit stop out in the ocean. I mean, let's just be honest. There's no pit stop in the ocean, so
No.
you being the only one would be interesting. But yeah, the cost alone would be astronomical to no end.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're trying to run a sub with like nuclear power, that would be whoo, you'd have to have billions for that one, dear Lord.
Yeah, just get the goal would be to get like an aircraft carrier, and I can do my own helicopter and aircraft tours. They just launch from the deck of the ship where we're going in Spain, the Bahamas, and the northern part of Europe. So yeah, that'd be fun.
What would the cruise size need to be in order to run a ship like that?
The crew size?
Well, no, the cruise size, yeah.
Probably about the average of a regular cruise ship, honestly, to be honest. Because you're not going to have a lot of the equipment that you would. Well, if you're using it as a cruise ship, I wouldn't be using a lot of the equipment that the military would use on it. We would just have. So you would just need like your housekeeping, your cooks, your entertainers, the engine room staff, the bridge. I mean, you guys can tell I'm not Navy. I don't know the official terms to all these people, so I'm just listing the generic terms. But the only difference is you'll have probably like a small, like if you're doing like a private airport, just get a small airport crew to do launch and recovery of aircraft and stuff like that. So the kicker though to do a cruise ship like that is living quarters.
Yes.
They're open and they're tiny. So obviously nobody's going to want to spend thousands or even a couple $100s to sail across the ocean in a ship like that. So we would have there would be some expansions to
because again the military, Navy or whatever, they build their spaces compact and all that stuff to try to fit as much as possible. So you'd have to expand, which I imagine would cause some architectural stuff, stuff that could get in the way. But I mean, the idea alone sounds great because again, you'd probably be the only pit stop in the ocean, and to have a place to say, if the Coast Guard can't get it, you are able to respond in a manner of it within a reasonable distance, right? Because if you're not that close, it's going to be too much. But it does sound like a great idea on paper, at least. But the numbers alone to try to
it would be a pricey trip unless you start like knocking out some rooms that would be used by the military to make more living quarters. Because like especially like on aircraft carriers, they do what's called hot bunking. So you'll have your 3 shifts, your day shift, your mid shift, and your swing shift. And so when day shift's working, you'll have the next shift sleeping in your bed, and so you're sharing beds with people, not at the same time, but obviously people aren't going to want to go on a cruise ship and share a bed with strangers. They're going to want to be able to have their own bed. They're going to want to have their own showers and toilet. So it would be buying the ship alone would be expensive. Then refitting it to make it more accommodating for a cruise line. It's a cool idea, but you need Elon. You're probably gonna need like Elon style money to make it work.
Elon or Bezos, because there was a thing where Bezos was like buying this huge yacht, and he had a story about he had to like split it in 2 or whatever, and just like just buy an aircraft carrier. That's of course if the United States is willing to let it go as a sellable item. That's always something right there. Would guests be treated to Navy experience? That would be awesome. Work to pay. I don't know about that. There'd be a lot of human rights things involved with that one.
So I have played. That was one of the ideas was running Dash because obviously I couldn't sell it as a full-on cruise line unless I want to make rooms super pricey, so that way people can have private rooms. So the next step would be, yes, hey, you're paying for the Navy experience. Come on board. You pay, and you can be acting like you're in the Navy yourself.
Oh
So
no.
it'd be a lot like those. I don't know if you guys ever saw the people are paying for the basic training experience, where
Yeah.
they get a bunch
Yep.
of people to just yell at them and belittle them,
Yeah.
and they pay like thousands of dollars to do it.
Yeah.
Guys, I'll give you a little secret. You can get paid to be yelled at and do physical labor. Go join the military and go to basic training for real. Don't pay thousands of dollars to be yelled at and go through. You
Yeah.
get benefits too.
Yeah. It's funny how that was, because I'm like, what? Because I understand. Okay, so I understand if it's the Navy SEALs experience, because that's heavy duty. They train hard. They train to be what they are, and all that stuff. But if you're just wanting to be yelled at and water torture and all this stuff, you could just go to the military and get paid for it.
Yeah.
Yelled at and crappy food. I like.
Well, and Dash may or may not be joking with that, but he might be at he might have a point to that, because there are people that want to join the military but can't for various reasons, of health reasons or other situations going on in their life. So yeah, there would be a market for people that would love the military experience but can't because of physical limitations. So yeah.
I think
50-50.
Yeah, or our MREs. I mean, I wouldn't say MREs are crappy, because I mean, my dad and me would get them for camping stuff, because you can't do that.
They're great for camping.
Yeah, they're great for camping. It's just they're a little different on the eating spectrum, right? They're not going to be like you're cooking the spaghetti web. They're going to be in a very different setting, and they're not going to be on that exactness. But I mean, for what it's worth, they have done well for some MREs and stuff. It's just to the taste of the person. But you could have that. You could have MREs, and I think they have some MREs that are self-heating. And also, hey, Eric John, Pizza John. How are you, Pizza John? Nice to see you, sir. I had him on a while ago. It was nice to have him on. But yeah, though, again, the idea sounds great, but the money is the issue. Plus everything else, if you want people to have their own room or whatnot. But you just think about it alone, and it's a multi-purpose ship. I mean, it's an aircraft ship, but it'd be multi-purpose because of what you could do with it, and that changed the aspect. Now, I don't know. Now, could you do regular commercial airplanes from, or would it have to be lesser than that?
It would depend on the size of the aircraft. Yeah, to a point, yes, you're not gonna have like a Boeing airline, like your typical Boeing aircraft landing on your ship anytime soon. But you'll you can do some smaller, like Lear jets and stuff like that. So it could still be used like as an airport per se. And the smaller the jet or the plane, the better, because then they can also be stored inside the ship when they're not in use.
Really? I didn't know they did that. I do not deserve a private jet, nor would I have the money for that. But maybe once in my life, I'd like to just ride it just a little, just a little, just see how it is, just to have an experience. But it's like a helicopter ride. But no, I didn't know you could store jets inside. Is there like a elevator or something?
Yeah,
Or does it work?
There's an aircraft elevator. They pull the jets to the side. It's on the side of the ship.
Oh,
and
okay.
it just lowers in, and they pull it back into the ship. So, if you ever watched the movie Top Gun, they used it. I think both movies they used the elevator on the aircraft carrier.
Okay. Well, I only saw the later one, the one with the Maverick one, rather
Top
than
Gun Maverick. Yeah,
I'm trying.
They might not have used the elevator in that one. They might have only used it in the first one. I know they used it in the first one.
Queen Mary's hotels doing it is not a 0% chance. I mean, true, but that took a lot of money to make the Queen Mary, and that's a huge. The Queen Mary is a huge monster. It's like its own movable island, which I guess you could say an aircraft carrier could be that, but yeah. So I think it'd be more like either like what do you say, like Cessna planes and small charter planes. Versus, because I could see that the runway would be very small for a Boeing 747.
Yeah, it would be a little too small for something like that.
They would just slide right up.
Let's see.
That would be the worst, but still. it's a funny thought, but no, that's smaller than most carriers. Well, I mean, from a perspective, I mean, it looked pretty big the last one I saw, but still, because I mean, it's not. I can't imagine the carrier is too big.
So the biggest plane that can land on a modern U.S. aircraft carrier is a C-130 Hercules, and a C-130 can hold up to 100 people.
That's not too bad. That would be interesting. You would have you could do either well, obviously the rich people, right? You could do the special reservation, or a collection of people and all this stuff. Well, I'm glad you got to stay in it, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't cheap to stay in the Queen Mary. At least it doesn't look cheap anyway.
No.
But yeah, no, that'd be interesting. You could have those type of planes carrying 100 people out. If you could store 100, well, again,
no, you can easily. So aircraft carriers, modern aircraft carriers, they're called like floating cities because they can have like the population. Well, I gotta be of a small city. You're not putting Manhattan inside of an aircraft carrier anytime soon.
I wouldn't want either with what's going on now.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No, all the rats. What are all the rats doing here? Well, you said you wanted a little hot Manhattan on the sea, so you know.
Yes.
Oh, too funny.
Let's see how many. So they're on an average U.S. aircraft carrier. There's about 5,000 sailors on the ship.
Well, again, that's before you would have to change some things, right? Because
yeah, obviously.
You'd probably have to like maybe say cut that in half. Say like you had to cut that in half because you changed the rooms and stuff around. So you probably could do like 2,500, and still, well, that's not bad. I mean, it's not as I think that's lesser than a actual cruise ship. But to be honest, I mean, you're you have a multi ability, so wouldn't argue with that. It's just the costly matter. But yeah, that sounds pretty fascinating that you would want to.
It depend how much modifications you will have to make to the ship, if it would be worth doing that, or just building build a ship from scratch, build it as if it's going to be an aircraft carrier, but with in mind that you want it to be a cruise ship.
Yeah, because it would be interesting if you could have a cruise ship, but with its own landing strip, say in essence of what an aircraft carrier is. That would serve a twofold, just because of what else you could do with that, right? Like you come across people who are in trouble, or as a pit stop just in case, that sort of thing. The ability to be multi-usable in that sense would be I mean, it'd probably be a costly benefit, but I do believe there might be a benefit to it. It's just the cost and all that stuff would just be horrendous. But starting from beginning and kind of making out, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
That's hurtful, Dad. That's hurtful.
I've seen a trader sanding an aircraft carrier would take him roughly away. Being
Boy, that's actually a compliment. If he's saying sending an aircraft carrier would take me a week. Yeah, that's actually a compliment.
So what you're saying is he's really fast. He works really fast.
I read that as him trying to say it slow, but then I reread it. I was like, no, he's actually paying me a compliment.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, Chad. Thank you.
All the times he throws you under the bus, he at least gives you one compliment. Harmony of the Seas burns around 66 gallons of diesel a day, for example. I've never heard of it. I've heard of Queen Mary, but Harmony of the Seas is something I've not heard of. Maybe it's big as Queen Mary or smaller. Yeah, I mean it is. Yeah, you're right. It is a lot of money, but still, there's some that would. There are some aircraft carrier ships that do run on nuclear.
Yes,
so
there
is that too. Yeah, because I mean, diesel alone is expensive as heck. A regular cruise ship. Okay, so it's regular. I just never heard of it. I've never heard of the name, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, no, if that ever idea came to fruition, I'd be like, all right, I'm first. I gotta get up there and see this.
Well, if I someday make it big enough to try to make this thing happen, I'll give you a free maiden voyage on the ship. Hopefully, it doesn't go the way of the Titanic, though. that would be embarrassing after all this talk. Trying to get people hyped up about something that may or may not happen.
Yeah, you just smack the wine glass into the front and just like, what? Hey, is it supposed to be lowering?
Dash, you can have shotgun by all means.
I call him shotgun. He'll be like, "I'm king of the world."
But we'll do a European cruise, and we'll pick up Chad along the way too.
But you charge him extra because of the sterling and stuff and all that. It's a UK tax, all right. Don't blame me for this. You're charging me.
He's not in the UK, so he doesn't have to worry about the sterling tax.
Oh, okay. No, that'd just be funny. You just make it up a spot. Look, like, hey. All right, I'm doing you a favor, so let's throw some money my way.
Sterling tax, yeah.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. But no, that's but again, it's I can understand the building up for nothing, but it's still a fun idea to look over because you imagine there are people who have
He painted me like his French girl.
Are you sure it was a girl?
In his mind, I was a girl.
Ooh. But you have to imagine it's like the same thing with people building like a mansion type house or whatever, or say like the tiny homes thing.
Yeah.
Tiny house. You have to imagine there's a you make all the plans, you do all the architect work, you run into trouble, obviously, but it's always about trying to configure and all this stuff because it's never just a simple task of making those things, especially something as big as say something like the Queen Mary or aircraft carrier, whatever. It's just it's a lot of time, but it's not a bad thing to at least think about because
I mean we wouldn't have half the stuff we have these days if we didn't dream big. I mean Elon Musk is building the biggest rocket ever known to man to go to Mars. I bet back in the day, if you talked like he talked, everybody think he's crazy. But look at him now.
Well, we have to get back to the moon first before we go to Mars.
Yeah,
because no one's been to the moon for ages, and you would and to think of it, you could think of the moon as a pit stop point to Mars, right? Because beyond that point, there's no resting area in between us and Mars. I mean, you have the asteroid belt, but that's a whole nother scheme of itself. But you'd want a place where you could stop. Yes, it is short to the moon and long to the Mars, but it's still a pit stop where you could go there, refuel, do what you have to, and then take the 2-year journey. Because as it stated, it's a 2-year journey to Mars. Once they play, I think they have to be lined up first in order to get there. But it is quite a stretch to get there. Nikola Tesla too. All those you got, he's not more well known in the essence of say like Edison, right? He got kind of brushed to the side, laughed off all this stuff, but he still made some interesting things that we still use today. Died broke, of course. I think it was in New York that he passed away in that apartment. Taking off from the taking off from the Earth through the atmosphere, it takes the most fuel. Taking off from the moon requires hardly any. Exactly. So that's why it'd be a great place for again, you'd have to either find a way of making fuel on the moon or taking fuel up to the moon while using fuel to get there. So there is that. But having the moon as a pit stop would be the best place to start, because if you're just going to go straight from Earth to Mars, it's not going to go well.
Well, that's why one of the reasons why Trump started Space Force, even though as ridiculous as it sounds, but his goal was eventually to have a base built on the moon, and we would launch from Earth to moon and do staging from moon to go to places like Mars, because like you guys are saying, it takes little to nothing to launch from the moon, but from Earth it takes thousands of gallons of fuel to get off our gravity, out of the gravity. And then another fun fact about Elon Musk with SpaceX. So when he sold PayPal, he had the whole purpose and goal of selling PayPal was eventually to go to Mars. So he did SpaceX, obviously, as the mode of transportation to Mars. He did Tesla. And people are like, well, for environmental reasons. No, he did Tesla because on Mars there's no oxygen, so you can't have combustion-based engines. You have to have something like an electric-based engine. So he wanted vehicles for Mars, and the only way you're going to get a vehicle for Mars is with electricity. And then so a lot of people don't know about this company. He also has what's called the Boring Company. The
Mm-hmm.
Boring
Oh yeah,
Company,
that's right.
yeah, the Boring Company is making massive tunnels in places like California for
Mm-hmm.
easy commutes uh, to and from locations. And his goal is to make massive tunnels in Mars for living and to protect themselves from the environment, because the Mars weather is absolutely atrocious and
Dust
horrible.
storms. Yeah.
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 We all saw The Martian with one almost said Brad Pitt. It's not Brad Pitt.
No, it was Matt Damon,
Matt
probably.
Damon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt Damon. And then, and like Dashboard said, one of the reasons why Elon ended up buying, it wasn't the initial reason why he bought X, but he has the intentions to make X an interplanetary communication system, or like a program.
Yeah.
He says it has the foundation to make it one of the best platforms to be used to communicate with loved ones to and from Mars. So yeah, so everything Elon's done after selling PayPal was for his goal to reach Mars.
Elon,
Elon trying to go back to his own planet. Yes,
he wants to taste that Mars rock there.
he goes. Earth sucks. I want to go back home.
Yeah, he's like Elvis. He just wanted to go back home. But yeah, it's just you kind of have to take those steps there, because again, there are those inferences of you kind of have to line up to get take that journey, and then of course having a base of operations. Now I don't know if one could do a base on the moon, because there was something I read a long time ago about like the many nations around the world have a treaty about either making claim to the moon or something. I can't remember what it was. Some sort of treaty.
It's probably along the same lines of like, is it the Arctic or Antarctica? Where
Antarctica, yeah.
It's considered international territory. Nobody can really claim it, but we can function off of it, because we have ships that sail there all the time, both in the military and otherwise. So
yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, yeah, you would have China and India and all those trying to go there,
yeah.
and it'll just be a mess in its own right, because honestly, it's just, even if you have one country to take control of it, it still would be a mess. But
Russia would be pretty upset.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to be the basis for launch off, because there's no way you could do it just straight from Earth. It'd take too much, like you said, too much fuel and too much time just to get there. So having the Earth in that, and of course, it wouldn't. So, and I'm trying to think how long it would take to ship supplies out to the moon, because it wouldn't take that long.
No, it'd take. We'll see how long the last flight to the moon took.
It would probably take less than a day, is what I'd say. It'd probably take less than a day to ship from the Earth to the moon.
What is wrong with my keyboard?
Heels up here. Weeks. Weeks? It'd take weeks to get to the moon?
It takes approximately 3 days using current rocket propulsion to reach the moon. Now, obviously, well, no, because weight doesn't really matter a whole lot once you break gravity, because it's just you're pushing yourself through.
Yeah, space. Inertia takes over from there, as long as you keep his speed. But yeah, there would be. He said weeks, and he's like, "Oh well, crap."
The fastest flight to the moon without stopping achieved by NASA's New Horizon probe, when it passed the moon in 8 hours and 35 minutes. When it was on its way to Pluto.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, the point of it is to, again, make that it won't be like instant, but it will be fast enough that it won't be like days or weeks, which would be the point of it, right? Because if you want to get supplies up there, like the whole thing with what was it, the station, whatever, where those astronauts got locked up there, or they got stuck up there, and they weren't getting supplies, whatever, from NASA. You want to be able to make quick emergency. It's going to take hours, but you want to be able to make quick decisions on getting that stuff out there, because if you don't, you could spell disaster for whoever's on, say, the moon in a base, and all of a sudden you've got an oxygen issue, and you want to get either a technician or whatever out there if there isn't one already. Mars is 6 months, I think. Well, they said okay, so there must be every 2 years that the Earth and Mars line up, and it would take a long time to get there. So okay, so I might have been wrong in that.
If I remember correctly, last year No, that's Jupiter. I was saying last year was the last time Jupiter. It was Jupiter, but it was the last time Jupiter was going to be the
Yeah.
closest point to Earth for a decade, I think, before it would be close again.
Yeah. He's saying a 2-year gap. So because when they leave off from the point, they have to go in a curve because they got to meet up with Mars. They don't meet at Mars. They meet up with Mars and sort of the thing. But 2-year gap. So that's like, so every 2 years we'd have to wait, and it'd take about 6 months. Only staying to the moon. Usually it takes about 20 minutes to get there after you make the call. Only need a dime bag or so. What?
He's talking about getting high. Getting high.
Oh, okay.
He's not talking about physically reaching the moon. He's talking about mentally reaching the moon.
Well, you don't need a dime bag for that. Just get some shrooms. You'll be there in no time. You'll be up there. You'll be like, oh, dude.
Yep. The moon's in the same situation too. NASA can't just launch and land on the moon. They have to wait for the moon. One, they have to wait for the atmosphere on Earth to be in the right conditions. They got to wait for the moon to be in the right position, and they got to wait. Yeah, it's not as simple as like, hey, let's load up our rocket and go. Now, it's not as much guesswork and time as trying to launch to Mars. Like they said, a 2-year gap before you're able to launch to Mars. So you got to wait for weather conditions, atmospheric conditions, and positioning on the moon before they could just send somebody up. But again, it's nowhere near as much as it would be if we were launching to like Mars or something like that. It would.
Yeah, because we've already done to the moon.
Yeah,
we've already done that stuff. Even though some lives were lost in that process, we still did the ability to get there and over time. Because we had like 6 or 7 missions to the moon. I think it was. I'm not sure.
We had.
Because Apollo 11 was the first one, right? I thought it was. I might be misremembering. Because then there was like Gemini and all these other missions, but it shows you how much I remember.
So there was 6 Apollo missions that landed on the moon. 11 was the first one, and then 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17 were the next ones after.
Yeah. It's just a shame we stopped doing it because, again, it's a lot closer to get to than, say, Mars.
Yeah.
Because that's going to take a longer point. But no, I didn't know you would need to. I mean, I understand like winds and like rain, like they don't launch during the rainstorm. But to understand, you have to be like on the right point for the moon. That's an interesting one.
Maybe it's not so much the case anymore. I know in the Apollo missions they had to wait. So maybe it's not the case anymore because we got better technology for that.
14. I thought it was 13 because Apollo 13. No, wait. Yeah, because I thought it was the because there was another movie called Apollo 13, which had like James Gardner, some other older actors, but I can't remember who it's on.
Not Tom Cruise.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. So it must have been 13 because that's the one I remember where it was a bunch of different male actors. Like there was he was in the movie The Truman Show. He played as the director. I just can't remember the actor's name.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, I do know James Gardner was in that one. Chase Away a Dara for once. Yeah, it's that latency thing that they're testing out, I believe. Excuse me, maybe I'm drunk. No, it was 13. The movie I know was Apollo 13.
Yeah, that's the one with Tom Hanks. They were supposed to go to the moon, but they had technical difficulties which prevented them from actually landing on the moon.
Yeah,
and it was supposed to be one of the astronauts' last chance to go to the moon too. So he lost out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Just look this up real quick. It says we currently cannot launch to the moon whenever we want. While technology exists to send missions there, is still a complex, expensive process requiring significant planning and preparation, with launch windows depending on moon's positions relative to Earth.
I wonder why that is, because the moon is going around us, obviously, because it's what is it they call it, tidal locked. right? It's
Yeah.
tidal locked. Just so that's why we always see the same face,
Yeah.
on the moon, is because it's tidal locked. But that's interesting that it has to be at a certain. I mean, it could make sense for like a new moon, right? Because a new moon, it's not even there.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. I wonder what the conditions have to be in order for it to happen then, because while that does make sense in a sense, right? If it rains, they don't launch and all that stuff. To have to find the right point to do on the moon, that's interesting, and I wonder why that is. I don't know what latexy has to do with it. Just easy for me to. I don't know what you're talking about. Latexy? What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, speaking of which, in September 2025, Artemis 2 will be the first crewed mission to the moon since the lunar landing.
Artemis. Who is Artemis? Is that
NASA.
NASA or okay?
Yeah. Artemis 2 is projected for September 2025. They're not going to land on the moon, but it'll be the first crewed mission to the moon since the Apollo missions.
Oh, that would be latency. Okay, no, I said latency. I didn't say latexy. Come on now, I didn't say latency. No, but I wonder if Elon will try to beat him to it, because that again, that would be the first thing I would think of as the first pit stop on his way to Mars. It's just like you said, there has to be a specific window to go there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little retarded.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little retarded.
See, there you go. Now you got someone who can do the voice. I just find that fascinating that it does make sense to a degree, but it also makes it sort of like a sad moment, because then it makes any launch to the moon that much slimmer when it's right there. It's like right. It's so close to us. It's a lot closer than Mars is, but I understand the whys of it's just one of those things. But I do think maybe Elon would try to do it. I do remember Virgin Airlines or Richard Branson was trying to do something with Virgin where it's supposed to be like high up into the atmosphere sort of thing. I can't remember what they called that. But he was trying to do like a plane going high up in the atmosphere and using it as a tour sort of thing. Sort of like what the Concorde used to do, right? The Concorde used to go high up atmosphere and then it'd come back down until it, got destroyed or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Until it became too much of a burden, I think, financially. But yeah, it's very interesting to know that. But hey, it's information some people probably don't even know. That you got to have it just right to go to the moon.
Yeah, it seems to be the biggest hang up, because it looks like NASA originally tried to go back to the moon this year, but something is apparently delayed them, and they're not going to do it until 2025, and then 2026 they're going to have another one.
It's good, because it's got to be the thing to do before you go beyond that, because I mean it is right there. What does it say? Think of rockets spiraling out away from Earth and then spiraling into moon orbit. I don't know if you're trying to say as in like a speed factor, or you're trying to say like because of the size, versus the Earth. I don't know what you're trying to say to it. So think of a rocket. Think of rockets spiraling away from the Earth, okay, and then spiraling to orbit. I mean, that's what you would do first, because that's there was a movie a while back that came out that was, Ryan Gosling was in it, and it's about the first moon landing. And so, they are going into orbit around the moon, and then, of course, they land, and, they kind of have to slow their descent and stuff. But, how we landed the moon. Okay. Don't want on my, unless you drop that follow.
He's taking one of my AI voice lines that I use when I'm streaming.
It's not going to work here, gaming chat. I'm sorry. I don't have Rumbot.
He knows that. He's just
goofing up.
having fun with it. Yeah.
We can't. No, I understand that, because you do have to hit the orbit first, because there's that speed factor, right? Because you can't because otherwise you hit it at a very high speed. You do have to have a place of kind of stop, then go, and then try to find the right spot. Because I mean, the moon is filled with craters like no tomorrow. You would not want to just land unless you could control that ability. But I get what you're saying. Of you can't fly just directly to the moon. You have to kind of do an orbit around it first before you can do that. Because it's all about timing your descent on it. But I thought you were talking about like the size of it. slow spiral out. Okay, so that's what you meant. All right, yeah, me no understand language very well, so.
So it sounds like the reason why they worry about the position on the moon is for fuel concerns. If the moon's
Oh,
further in
okay.
position from the launch site, the ship is going to obviously burn more fuel to get there.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that makes
And
sense.
then it's kind of like what you said about launching to Mars. They don't fly at Mars; they fly
They have
to
to meet up
meet
with.
the
Oh,
meet,
yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah,
which will
because
help them save fuel because then they'll get caught in the moon's orbit, and then the moon will do the work for them while they're in orbit. And
so that makes me wonder: is it easier to fly during when a supermoon happens because that's when the moon is closer to us, or is it just best in what it is? All right, I'm gonna need
they
a
said
physics.
the phase of the moon and the position of the moon.
Okay. Well,
It,
we always see the same face of the moon, so to speak. But I wonder if it means like waxing and waning because that's a different.
yeah, like a full moon may be the best. I'm just picking a random. A full
Yeah.
moon may be the best time to launch because that's when the moon is facing us the most. Is
Oh, minimal
I,
doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes
that's
sense.
a random guess. I don't know what the specific phase would be the best.
Minimal.
And
So, like he's saying, they might be trying to aim for minimal distance between the moon and the Earth when it hits just right. So I guess that's the window they're trying to look for. Of course, with the weather conditions on Earth, they are trying to find the minimal distance to burn the less amount of fuel because they do need to come back. So
yeah,
there's that too. But no, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I wonder if it would be easier for them to fly during a supermoon than anything else because it is a lot closer
yeah.
during that time. They see it.
Hey, half pine,
No, really?
half pine. I got your catapult for you already. They already got it built for you. You just need the whiskey and the helmet now.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you put in there. That's hilarious.
What I missed what you were laughing at. That
No,
one.
he what Chad was saying. It was what Chad was saying was about. Did you know that in Australia they see the image upside down?
They do, 'cause they're from the land down under.
That's right. They're on the opposite ends. So that's why they're going to see it. But that's hilarious. But no, that'd be interesting. But it was always nice to learn those sorts of things because we're not rocket science people. We're not. We're just looking at moon and saying we can do that. But yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. But anyway, it is almost to the 2 hour mark, so we're gonna go ahead because I do have to work in the morning, so I do
I
have
do
to.
too. And
Yeah.
my wife's got dinner waiting too. So
So, but let's well. So what we'll do is a few things. Well, first of all, we'll quickly promote ourselves. I'll name my guest for tomorrow, and of course, I have one more thing, and then we'll close out. So,
perfectly fine with me.
okay. So go ahead and promote yourself first. I'll do my end, and then we'll go from there.
Well, like I said, thank you, Dara, for having me on.
Well, thank you.
Daramouthe.
That Daramouthe. It's like vermouth, right?
Vermouth, but Dara
Vermouth.
and Dara, Daramouthe.
Daramouthe,
Okay,
yep.
so I got that because I like vermouth. Anyway, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun just hanging out and chatting with you. And I wish you the best of luck with this too. Hopefully, you get more people. It's fun to just hang out and chat with people sometimes. So
Over 100 different people.
Yep. But again, so I'm AirConda. I'm a variety streamer. I have no method to my madness. The only thing I keep routine every week is Tank Tuesday. I always do Tank War Thunder on Tuesday. But usually you can see me playing on my gaming channel on AirCondaTv Gaming. You see me playing War Thunder, Once Human, Batman. I did Batman Origins before getting on today. I'll do some Battlefield 2042. Maybe if I'm feeling like punishing myself enough, I'll play some Fortnite. So yeah, the sky's the limit with my gaming channel. On my hobbies channel, AirCondaTv Hobbies, I do model kit building. In fact, actually, we're trying to do this without breaking it. We were talking about aircraft carriers and stuff. This is the USS Arizona that I built on New Year's Eve last year. I just got to paint it now.
Oh,
Get it all painted up. So I do those things on stream. I'm going to probably regret taking that off its stand because I'm probably going to break it now.
Uh-oh.
There we go. So I do model kit building on AirCondaTv Hobbies. I do my astrophotography stuff. As you can see, I like space, as we just talked about Moon and Mars and all that other stuff. I do so like my best picture is of the Orion Nebula, which is one of the brightest nebulas that you can see with your naked, well, not with your naked eye. You need a telescope to see it. You can see, fun fact, you can see Andromeda Galaxy, the closest galaxy to us, with your naked eye, but you have to be in an area where there's little to no light pollution. That's the only catch to that. And I do planetary imagery. I've taken pictures of Jupiter, a little bit of Mars. I got a couple crappy ones of Saturn. So, in fact, actually, we had one of the best meteor showers in August, and I stayed up all night and did a 12-hour stream and got a couple cool shots of meteors hitting the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Planning to do some gun content on that Hobbies channel, Jeep stuff. And I'm also building a mobile observatory so I can take my astrophotography trip on the road. And I stream and record that project so you guys can see me build the trailer up.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll promote is my podcast channel, AirCondaTv, where I talk about anything and everything. And after I'm done recording, I invite whoever's in chat to join in on the call if they want to join the conversation.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because Gaming Chad was making that.
Yeah, he wants me to talk about my OnlyFans. That is a special OnlyFans for special people like you, Chad. That doesn't get advertised to everybody.
It just depends on what kind of special you're talking about.
I'll let the audience decide what kind of special I'm talking about.
That's the best way to put it. All right, and from my end, everyone, whether you're on Rumble and whether you're on YouTube, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing, following, or leaving a comment, anything that helps with the engagement on either end is much appreciated. Because again, guys, not only does it help me be seen more, but it also helps bring on other people as well. Because one person can lead to another, that can lead to another, and whether you're a creator or not, it doesn't matter. This is about bringing people together, having conversations about whatever, and just having a fun time. Because at the end of the day, we live in a world that is more a divisive factor than anything else. And yeah, you don't have to have the, kumbaya sort of thing, but let's just sit down and have a conversation with each other. And you just saw that with me and AirConda for, and I'm surprised you don't have a shirt that has your thing on it or something that matter. What has your AirConda?
I'm working on that. I'm planning to do some pint glasses next, but I do have stickers. That's the most I have right now.
Right.
This is the hobby channel stickers right here.
Nice.
I got gaming stickers too, which this one right here. It's kind of bent.
Right there.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
So I do got stickers. I got a patch too, but I don't advertise the patch because I need to decide how I'm gonna have that available. But shirts. I do want shirts someday, and then pint glasses is next.
Yeah, because it's just like a brand thing. But anyway, yes, and also if you want to see where else I'm at, there's a link down below. Twitter, X, Discord, email, all that stuff. If you want to take up the opportunity to come on, and of course, my month of October is full. I mean, if you want to see what my month of October looks like, I got to put it up right because last time I had it upside down. This is my month of October right there.
That is a busy month.
That is a busy month. I'm busy. I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm practically busy till the 17th. So every day till the 17th, and then I have breaks and after. But the point of the matter is that it's for just about anybody. Yes, there are people who are trollers, people, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's about having conversations with other people, whether they're a creator or not. And I know I've had a lot of different creators on here, but it's not just about creators. It's about people. About people talking to people and just getting together to conversate with, because at the end of the day, we are a bit divisive. Whether it's a political team, a football team, it doesn't matter. We're all still here together. Let's just sit down and have a conversation. And again, any help with the engagement on either end is much appreciated. And of course, link down below if you want to check out my other stuff. And of course, thank you, Mr. AirConda, for coming on. You are always welcome to come back, as I say with every my guest, because again, it doesn't just have to have one, because a conversation can go on for just about forever. There's so much. There's so much to talk about. And at the end of the day, I do appreciate it. So thank you for being on here. No, it's not yet. Of course, follow for the gun. Don't let me down. Don't let him down. And
I'll
other
do my
stuff.
best. I'm gonna have to get something else. I'm thinking about, on YouTube I did a video to go through my arsenal. So maybe I'll do a revision of that, because it's kind of grown a little bit, and then we'll hopefully get some range content in soon.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's pretty awesome because there is a lot of gun tubers out there, but you know, you had your thing, and you want to use the platforms that allow you to do all the stuff. But anyway, guys, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Oh, I did it up again. It's upside down. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, of course, I will have on the lovely Zora. She was the first person who I started this out with, so I'll be glad to have her back on. And that is 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, like today with Mr. AirConda, and again, looking forward to it. And of course, there is something I do at the very end with my guests. It's called the questions from a hat. So what it is, I got a Rumble hat. And I filled it with questions. So they're questions that anyone can answer, right? It's not just specified to one person. Anyone can answer these. And so what happens is the guest gets 2 freebies, right? But if people want more than that, they have to. I'm not monetized on YouTube, so Rumble's where it's at. I don't have any like extra thing like Venmo or whatever that you would go donate to. No, it's just that's where I'm at for Rumble. But you'd have to give a rant in order to have more. Because Dashboard gave a Rumble rant earlier, we're going to add that, and that's going to be 3 questions total. So I'm just going to put my hand in the hat. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to cheat. Don't want to do that. Don't want to be accused of that. So I'm just going to pick one out right now. So here's the first one. And we'll see what the question is. What is the question? The question is, oops, upside down. You just got $1 million tax-free. What's the first thing you do?
I'm paying off my debt. That is the very first thing I'm doing with that, is paying off my debt.
Amen. Dear Lord, if you're in debt, pay it off.
Especially in this economy, I want to pay it off as quickly as possible before things get worse.
Ooh. I'm not in debt anymore.
Yeah. I own my stuff. You're not taking it from me.
You're gonna take it. Gotta take it from my cold dead hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna have to get past my tank first.
Exactly.
Where the hell do you get a tank? eBay.
And I can start using that money for stuff to help support and protect my family. So that's the dream with $1 million.
Yeah. Of course, here's number 2.
Okay.
I just remember it was 3 total. So okay. Let's see what the question is. This one should be. This is an easy one. So, what is your favorite curse word?
My favorite what?
What is your favorite curse word?
Probably because I use it the most. Fuck, it's the most favorite. That one probably happens a lot more than it should. So, by default, a frequent of use, it's gonna be the F word. I know it's very vanilla and lame, but
well, it's a lot better than some people. I had a lady on. And I always tell I always tell them if they ask, right? If they ask, like, look, I'll give you 98% of the field. You can curse as much as you want. Just stay away from the game words, right? You already know what the game words are. Stay away from the game words, and we're good. I've already had a lady break that. So she said the bundle of sticks one was like, Vax, you gotta. But it's okay. I mean, even if something happens with YouTube, I still got Rumble, so it's not that big of an issue. What is might migrate over to Tunder's Live after this if the chat wants to join. Yeah, I still have yet to get him on. I have to wait till next month, at least for a little bit for support. Yeah, I understand. If I can, I don't know if he's on live or not. You'd have to give me the link. Okay, last one. Since someone else has put another rank in. Okay. Let's really dig into the hat here and see what we can come up with. Oh, one fell out. I don't think I'll go for that one.
Yes, sir. I'll do that, Chad.
Okay. Conda would do with $1 million is to buy the road trips and bring. I'm sure he would. Yeah, I'm sure he would. Here we go. Last one is, unless someone gives another rant. What's the Oh God, I should have taken this out of the. I'm not doing this one. I don't know why I still have this one. It's just asking about internet search history, so we'll do this one. I don't need to. It's too much. At that point, it's gonna be turned on me. So Jeez Louise already asked that one. All right. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. If you were a sandwich, what kind would you be and why?
So, first word, once you said if you were kind of sandwich, it'd be it's now called the Hot Shot Italiano, which I think is the dumbest name ever. But the spicy Italian from Subway. And a couple reasons for that. I am Italian by heritage. Well, okay. I'm American. I'm American by blood. I have Italian in me. 2, I love spicy foods, but spicy foods don't love me. And 3, it's absolutely delicious. I want to be the most delicious thing on the planet. So there's my spicy Italian. There's my sandwich. If I could be that sandwich, and why?
Right. No, it's a weird question to ask. I know.
No, it's not. It's perfectly fine.
But yeah, I do. Again, that's sort of the thing. Like I try to get as many questions that anyone can answer because I think it's just a funny thing to do. It is kind of a cheap way to earn an extra rand or two, but it's more of just like whatever.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. I think that's a good system to have in place.
Okay, copy link address. Okay, so I'm going to try to do that once we close up. But anyway, guys, again, don't forget tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will have the lovely Zora on. Hopefully, the Rumble Studios has a thing where it works with some cameras and it doesn't work with others. So I hope that's something they have in the works for it, because I do believe that Rumble Studios could be Rumble's golden. Well, they have cloud, but I do believe Rumble Studios could be a golden egg for Rumble if they just work on it a bit, because it feels like they. If you go to, so just before we go, if you go to another video streaming platform, right, whether it be StreamYards, EveMux, whatever, you have to pay to go beyond a certain amount, right? If a free means you only get to do this for a certain amount of time, you pay beyond that and you get some, and usually it costs $25 a month, $30 a month, all this stuff. It's not cheap. And even though they say it's free for us on Rumble, it's not free for them. But with all the stuff it gives, like, so the platforms that can stream to now and all this stuff for free, I can't argue against the other stuff, because it you can do it for hours upon hours where you'd have to pay to go beyond. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much, and of course, thank you again, Mr. AirConda. You are always welcome back. And
nice meeting you too, Steve. And thank you.
You're very welcome. And no, thank you. I always it's always difficult in trying to schedule people, because it's about time and all that stuff. Scheduling is always going to be a hard thing, but I do appreciate the opportunity I get, because it's a fun time, and I'm glad it went well. So anyway, guys, as you know, we end the show with One Day With You by Pogo. Oh, and don't forget to mute yourself, like last time. So One Day With You by Pogo. See you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Minister, guys. Have a great night. Bye.